This session is on social media and marketing. So much of marketing these days revolves around digital marketing. And for entrepreneurs and small business owners, that often means social media because it's easily accessible. It's something that we're all familiar with, at least in our personal lives, and it can be inexpensive. But here's the problem, and I always like to talk to my clients about this. The biggest problem with marketing today is that there's nowadays about 3,000 things that you could do, and they all work a little bit. So it's hard to focus on exactly what in your business is going to be the most effective use of your time, and especially if you're a solopreneur, have a small marketing department the way some of us are blessed to, and most of us do in this room. Then it's hard to focus on just those channels that are going to be most effective. So we've got a panel here of experts. And I'm going to introduce them briefly, but then I'm going to let them tell a little bit of a story about themselves. So first off, we've got Maya Fastoff with Maya Fastoff Jewelry. Maya is from Cali, Colombia, and she moved to the United States when she was 18 years old. She comes from a creative background and has always enjoyed working with her hands, and she began experimenting with making handmade jewelry about 10 years ago. Over time, she's built what was once a passionate hobby into a full-time business. Next we have Brittany Green with Advantage Business Coach. Brittany is the owner and coach at Advantage Business Coach, and her specialty is marketing and sales training. She's also a certified financial data analyst. You can hear Brittany on her radio show Through the Glass Ceiling on Vinyl Draft Radio every Wednesday at 10 a.m. So I know we'll all like to tune into that and hear what she has to say. And last we've got Beth Guide with SEO 411. Who is a full-service digital marketing agency located in Houston. So I can't wait to hear the advice that she's going to give us. Her company has grown in the ever-changing industry, giving them a very comprehensive tool set. She teaches internet marketing at the Small Business Development Center that's part of the University of Houston's Bauer College of Business, and is often featured as on Fox 26 as a technology expert. And then myself, I'm Raisa Evans. I'm the CEO and Chief Strategist at Running Reload. I do growth strategy and I improve marketing performance for small to medium-sized businesses and executives who are just too frustrated, overwhelmed, and busy to get enough done to reach their growth goals. So I'd like to welcome our panel and I guess to kick off the first question, and we can just go down the row however you guys want, but tell us a little bit about your business, how it got started, and what do you do today?
Okay, good morning everyone, I'm Maya. And my business started as a hobby. I've always been crafty and doing things. I got that from my mom, and it became something that I did just for me. And once a friend placed a big order or something that she saw me wearing and said, I want some of these for my event. And she placed a large order, and that allowed me to get a website set up. I started thinking, I think this is the moment when I jump on and make it something, and got a website designed. My husband helped me a great deal with all of that, and I've been riding the wave. I had another job before and decided I just want to do this. And so I'm giving it a go.
Good morning, ladies. My name is Brittany Green. I am the owner and coach at Advantage Business Coach, and we are a full-service, 100% independent coaching company. Now, what in the world does all that mean? What that means is we do not pay a franchise fee. Our program was built by us, so it's completely customizable for the needs of our clients. Not everybody here needs everything that we offer. Not everybody needs a lean manufacturing program. But basically how we got started, I started off as an accounting major at U of H. I got the business calculus and said, nope, not gonna do that one. So I went into marketing, tried to get a job, couldn't get a job. So I was like, hey, real estate is safe, which it's not. In case anybody was wondering. I became an appraiser and started a company doing high-value home insurance appraisal. It was a business people said you could not make 6 figures at, and we did it in 3 years using our own concepts. So once we realized that our program worked, Advantage Business Coach was born.
And my name is Beth Guide. I'm with SEO 411, and my company started with $150 in a layaway computer from Walmart. So, I saw, I came out of a journalism background. I went to school in New York and grew up in New York. And when I saw the internet, when it started, that's how long we've been around, it just looked like the way newspapers were put together. And we kind of just started saying, I just said I can do that because I did it for years, putting together, newspapers throughout North Jersey. And we just went ahead and did it. And since that time, as the internet's changed and adapted, and when Grace said to me, what do? I said, I was around before Google was only a number. Google used to be a number before it was a thing. So that's how long we've been doing this. And it just has been an evolution, and we've evolved. There was no social media. Now social media is one of the pillars of what you need to do for successful digital marketing. So that's where I started.
That's great, but thanks. I had a friend that posted the other day on Facebook, I just told my kid I'm older than Google and he didn't believe me.
But it's true.
So we heard a lot of great things from the first panel about personal branding and how to keep in contact with your networks and do this in the real world, and a lot of face-to-face. And then the Q&A got into some of these questions we're going to cover today about social media. So I kind of want to start out, for someone starting out, because there are so many things that you can concentrate on, what are the first few things that they need to focus on when they're building their business? Any of you can take that one first.
Sure. I think the first thing that you need to focus on is how serious are you about making this your business and your full-time business, knowing that if you're the business owner, you will be working more than anybody else. Nobody's gonna do it for you, and there are many things that you may not be good at, many others that you're good at, and then try to change the ones that you're not so good at and ask for help from someone, a friend. Anybody will give you advice for free. There's a lot of information online, so focus on those things. And I, for example, I'm not very keen into sales, even though I've done sales jobs for real estate and many other things, but I feel like I'm bothering somebody, and I don't want to do that. So use your relationships. So focus on your relationships, improve the things that you're not so good at, and always try, even though it's really hard, but keep trying. And make sure that this is something you want to give it a full 150% to. And always try to figure out whatever challenges you have, where you can find information to motivate yourself to try to overcome those obstacles or those things that you don't do so well. Google is wonderful. Google it. Ask somebody, what do you think? What am I not so good at? My husband pushes me all the time. My mom helps me all the time. And Susan promotes people here from the chamber all the time. Everybody gives in a little bit. So try to take those good things to heart and build on that. So those would be my main points.
Happy accident. This is literally what we talked about on yesterday's show, was entrepreneurship and where do you start. So, yay. Really, guys, there's two things that I would recommend that you do. The first thing is have your big three plans. Have your business plan, have your strategic plan, and have your policies and procedures manual. And all too often in our industry, we see business owners create the business plan for the business you have right now. A lot of you in here, you may be lone wolfing it, and that is amazing, and that's okay for right now. But write your plan to the business that you want in 2 years, in 5 years, in 10 years. I want a project manager. I want to have this many contractors. I want to have this. I want to have that. You're allowed to say, I want things, okay? Because that's where your strategy comes into play. Start at the end and work backwards. Let's say you want to sell this business. You want to pass it off to your daughter or your son, your cousin, your niece, or you just want to close it down. You're just building this type of project, okay? Start with that end goal in mind and work backwards. And from a policies and procedures point of view, you guys know how you want to do things. Take it out of your pretty little heads and put it on paper, okay? That way everybody else can do it the way that you want it done. Because a lot of you are going to say, nobody can do it better than I can. And I see a lot of people saying, yeah. All right, if you put it on paper, everybody else can do it just as well as you can. And the second thing is actually something that Maya mentioned is get good at sales. I am a marketing person, but I'm going to tell you, it doesn't matter how good your marketing plan is, doesn't matter how many leads you get, if you can't convert it into money, okay? You gotta convert it into something. So get good at sales. Learn how to close that deal. Once you start closing, sky's the limit.
And for me, I've got a few things. One is you have to believe in yourself above and beyond all else. And as we talk about social media, that belief in yourself will come out in how you execute that plan. The more authentic you are and the more people believe in you, the better your business will run. And the other thing is, I'm gonna say the exact opposite you just said is, okay,
Thanks a lot.
I had a plan, and if I had stuck to the plan, I would have been out of business about 20 years ago. And we've been in business 21. That always be willing to adapt and be flexible and be willing to throw the plan in the garbage can if you need to and reinvent yourself. Don't ever be afraid to do that, but be your best fan and know that you are the best. You are an expert and believe it. And if I ask this room to put their hand up and say who is an expert, I guarantee you only one or two people would be put. Every one of you need to put your hand up all the time. And that's the way you need to act and conduct yourself in this world. You are the best, and then all else.
See, that's pretty positive right there, that there's not just one way to get this done. So having some guidance, having a peer group, something, or even coming to sessions like this is a great way to test your assumptions and ideas.
Yeah, I was just telling Beth, I actually agree with her, because you're absolutely right. You can't just write it and throw it underneath on the shelf and never look at it again. At our company, we recommend, and we do this with our clients, every 3 months you're looking at everything. You're looking at your business plan, you're looking at your strategic plan. As I will tell you, Advantage Business Coach is in its 9th year. This is not the business that I planned 9 years ago. It's not even the business I planned 6 months ago. So constantly be looking at that, and as Beth said, be willing to change and adapt to what's happening around you.
That's perfect, thank you.
I have one more thing. I
Sure.
think some people that I've seen that have their own business get too proud about what their personality, what they do, their product, and they don't take any suggestions from anybody else. If you don't want to take suggestions from a stranger, ask your friends and your family and see where it is that you don't see that you need to change some things or try something new. Because, I mean, it hurts, but you need to put that aside and just be willing to accept someone else's input. Because if you're doing something and it's not working, obviously you need to change something. And that will go a long way. It's for your own good. Don't see it as an attack on you personally, just the strategy needs to change, that's all.
That's a really great segue, thanks for that, Maya, because let's clear up some myths next, because I always like to clear those up and then we can get into the executable strategies that you can actually, some ideas and things that you can use in your business. But what are, for y'all, both in your own business or who you serve, what are the common misconceptions and mistakes that you see the most often?
I think that one of the biggest misconceptions is that, okay, if they see your business seems like it's doing well, everybody thinks, oh, you've hired a bunch of people. No, I'm still doing everything myself. And that's fine, because then is the personal touch. As you grow and you have other people doing some things for you, you don't want to lose the personal touch of your business, but you gotta be willing to let go a little bit and let somebody else do it, even if it's not exactly the way that you see it, if you're a perfectionist like I am. But let go, because otherwise you will never, ever be able to move on to the next stage, the next level. So that's the one common misconception, that you have now a bunch of people doing things for you. No, you don't. It's still you. And you gotta keep reminding your friends, hey, I'm still doing this, I'm still doing that. So help me out, promote me, and help each other out, promote your friends and promote other people, because nobody wants to promote someone who doesn't promote you. So you need to help each other out all the time.
It is a reciprocal relationship. The common misconception that I see the most is that you think you have to have a big budget to be able to run an effective marketing campaign. Guess what? Myth busted. All right, you can actually run a boosted post that is extremely successful for $15, and you'll actually be able to convert it, because I did it for one of my clients. So $15 in 30 days, and she had 4 catering gigs with $15. Guess what? Her catering gigs were more than $15. So the return on investment is there. So don't get caught up in your own mind that, okay, I don't have as big a budget as this company over here. I've met a lot of you in this room that are just getting started, or you have a grand plan for your business. Don't think that because you don't have a marketing budget of $100 or $1,000 or $5,000 that you can't market because you can. Okay, there's a lot of pieces you gotta know to make $15 go a long way. Okay, so don't get me wrong, don't go home and go boost a post for $15 and think you're gonna get it. Okay, because there's a lot of other pieces that have to go into it. But if you do it the right way, you can have a cheap marketing budget and be able to have an amazing return on your investment. And I guess the biggest mistake is that whenever I'm auditing a piece of marketing material, is there's no call to action. Y'all have gone through all the work to take the best picture. You know, Maya's taking a picture of these lovely earrings and, you know, she's dressed fabulous and everything like that. And we're all good, but you have no idea where to go buy this fabulous set of jewelry. Put something out there that says click here or go to here, visit my website, give me a call, decide how you want someone to do business with you. You may prefer them to call you. Don't say email me if you don't check your email. Okay? Make it consistent. I will literally be sitting there talking to a client, how do you want someone to contact you? No, I'm really asking you, how do you want someone to contact you? So even it's simple, I have a licensed massage therapist that she just wants people to text her. That's fine, because she actually checks her text messages. So choose what action you want, put it on there, and then actually check that so you know who's contacting you.
You said a myth, huh?
Misconception, mistake.
We're going Mythbusters up here.
So in other words, your niece that knows how to work Instagram, that's 18 years old, is qualified to run your digital marketing presence for your business? Yeah, no, I hear that all the time. So I understand as a small business owner that you can't always get out there and get up there and go pay somebody, and that's impossible. So one of the things, and this city is probably one of the few that I know that do this. There's plenty of classes throughout the city through the SBDC, through maybe your Chamber of Commerce. I mean, myself personally, I have anywhere from 7 to 10 classes a month that we taught digital marketing, how to build a website. My new phrase to everybody is just because you can pull your own tooth, should you? Just think about that for a minute, all right? And the point of the matter is that if somebody taught you how to do it, you could do it. You need to learn how to do it. Just don't think, well, that person knows how to use their iPhone, therefore they're qualified, okay? And that's what I think the biggest myth when it comes to digital media is.
Great, thank you. You know, one of mine is that I run into a lot of clients, so since I do strategy, I'm usually the one setting the plan and the execution, and they do try to do too many things. They think they hear about social media, they think they've got to be on all the big 6 or the big 4 or whatever. They have to have this and that, they have to have a website, and I think it stretches people too thin and they do too much. I do a lot of LinkedIn training, social media training and positioning throughout Houston and Texas. So that leads me into our next question. So when it comes to social media, how do you choose which platforms that your business should be on and which ones have been effective for y'all? What are the considerations there?
I think it depends on what you do and what your product is, what you offer, your service and such. So for me, being jewelry is very visual, so it has to be Instagram and also Facebook. Facebook doesn't get as much interaction as Instagram, but you still have to have it. And so those are the two that I go between all the time. Whatever I publish in one, I have to do it in the other one. And I don't have somebody else handling my Facebook or my Instagram accounts. It's just me and my husband. So because English is my second language, I still make some mistakes after 30-something years here. Whatever. I still make some mistakes and he corrects me when I do, and I'm constantly changing it. But I think that you have to, whatever your product is, even if it's a very youthful product, you still have to have a professional stamp on whatever you write, simply because it is a business. You gotta have some of your personality, but also a little bit of business talk and just the way that you conduct it and you write on it, because that's how people will treat you. It's kind of like when your mom used to tell you, or people used to tell you, you dress for the job you want, not for the job you have. So that is the same for your business. You want to be respected in a certain way, or seen in a certain way in your business. Your media should reflect that. So I think it would change if it's food, but again, you have to change that image to whatever, and those two mediums will make sense for me. For anybody else who's not so visual, it might be something else. Twitter, I just don't even.
Twitter just, yeah. I think I've only recommended Twitter twice in my career. So, but not to say it doesn't have its advantages. I would say there's one thing to think about when you're trying to figure out what platform you should be on, and that is, who is my target market? Okay, are you working business to business? Or are you working business to consumer? And if you don't know, please come talk to me at the table afterwards, because we need to figure that out. If you're business to business, it's a great spot. Raisa mentioned LinkedIn. That's a great place to find businesses. If you're business to consumer, you have to ask yourself a second question. What age am I looking for? About 30, 35 and older, Facebook's the place to hang out. 35 and younger, you're probably looking at more Instagram or Snapchat or one of those other little fun ones. If you don't know where your target market is, let's say, it's a 16-year-old because you have a boutique for young girls or for kids or something like that, go talk to a 16-year-old and find out what social media they use. I am not embarrassed to ask my 16-year-old niece, what is actually cool? I literally asked her a couple months ago, I said, is Pokemon still cool? She's like, well, kind of. I'm like, okay, cool. So I know not to bring up Pokemon around 16-year-olds. But apparently it is getting popular again, in case you're wondering. I don't understand it. So look at where your target market is. Who is your target market and where are they hanging out? For us personally, we have a heavy Facebook presence. I have, the panel before talked about branding. I pretty much turn myself into a brand. My Facebook page is the same one I've had since 2005 when you had to have a .edu address. Well, I'm throwing this back, okay? But I don't mind that people actually friend me on my personal account because I'm a service-based business. I'm business to business. You guys are hiring my company, but you're actually hiring me. So I don't care if you see pictures of my food or my niece or my dogs or my whatevers, because at the end of the day, that's me. Okay, there is no real, separation of church and state. You can do that if that's what you choose. But for me, I don't have children, so I'm okay with it. My dogs are my kids, and I want you guys to see my furry babies. Okay, so, we also use Instagram on occasion, and because of radio, it's a huge spot for us for radio, as well as LinkedIn from a professional point of view. So it really is figure out where that person is, and if you don't know, go ask somebody that would be your target market, or ask your client, because you know what? I was talking to my guest yesterday owned a wine company. She literally asked her customers, does this wine taste good? Do you like it? Would you want to see others from this? No, I don't like it. Okay, well, we put cornhole in the patio out back. Are you actually going to play it? No, okay, we don't need to do that anymore. So go ask somebody.
Okay, so for me, when I think about where to start, and each one of you are an individual, and you have to figure out how to make that work for you as for what messaging you want out to your customers or your potential customers. The one thing that I will say is that at the end of the day, myself, my company, and my brand are pretty much indistinguishable, because what I do and who I am also is what my company is. So everything I do on whatever platform I choose becomes tailored to who I am and what I do, and it's very important. I would encourage, these two things go hand in hand, and I don't want this to get lost in the shuffle of all of this. Make sure, remember I said you're an expert, make sure you're all blogging at least once a month at minimum, and that should be out helping form who you are out on those social media platforms. Because what I don't like is this. I take a post, and the post appeared in the Houston Chronicle, and I go share it on my social media feed, on whatever one I share it on. It's the Houston Chronicle that gets credit for that, not my business. And that's one of the biggest mistakes that I see, is that as we're trying to figure out what we're supposed to be doing, what we do is share everybody. I am the most greediest person. I create my own, I post my own, they're my pictures, they're my posts, they're my writings, they're what my thoughts are, and you know what? It has made a very, very, very impactful and powerful brand just based on whatever Beth says that day. So I know that sounds, but you all have to have that same moxie about you. So, did you want to ask a question? Go for it. Can I take questions? Maybe that's not appropriate.
Our first question.
All right. Go ahead, hit it.
So blogging versus videos, what's your?
You can do both. I'm saying blog, but I'm saying put some form of content out there that's exclusive to you. If you want to do a video for the day and you say, hey, I want to show you how to do X. Let's say I'm a cook and I say, we're going to be in my kitchen today and I'm going to show you on video how to do that. that's fine, put it out there. But don't put a picture of Rachel Ray or Rachel Ray cooking something. Let's not do that, okay? Because the only person that brand that helps is Rachel Ray, okay? So that's the piece as small business owners, the only one that's gonna help you is you. And the sooner we get away from the idea that we need to share everything everybody else is doing, no, I need to be the trendsetter and be the person out there telling everybody what I'm doing. Okay, we're gonna, I don't wanna, do I wanna keep taking questions, cause they keep sticking their hands up?
No, let's save it till the end, because your question.
We can do blogging 101 after all of this, okay? I don't have a problem with it, it's fine.
Write
So-
it down so you don't forget.
And what I will say is, if you go to my website on SEO 411, there is a list of classes. Sign up for the newsletter, I will give you, we cover blogging, social media, we do it every month, I have some topic, there's never the same class twice. So with that said, yeah, I'll give you a card, but with that said, there's plenty of education opportunities, but yes, okay, so, sorry they're all asking questions, stop that.
Beth, I knew I was gonna like you for the first time I met you, because literally what she's ranting about, I have actually ranted about in multiple networking groups I'm in, and it just, she's right with blogging, write your own, but do the same thing. If you're on your social media platform and you see a really cute cat video over there, but a business posted it, recreate your own, videotape your own kitty and stick your logo on it, because you're giving that person free advertising, and that's the last thing you wanna do.
Well, that's a good transition to, the panel before us, personal branding, talked about, and these panelists have talked about a little bit, how that becomes one brand. But I wanted to ask you guys, because I get this question a lot as well, so there's certain platforms that have, company page and a personal page or whatnot, and depending on how you position your business, whether the business is after your name or if it's not after your name. So do you need a company page, or how do you separate, I think it was called church and state in the first panel.
Well, I am of the people that believe that you should have two separate ones, simply because I don't wanna share my personal things with everybody in the world, and I completely make it private, nobody else can access it. I have realized, of course, that I do have to share some of my personal tastes and things that I do in my personal time, and so I do have another one that's semi-private, but it's still, keep it in mind, people wanna see more of your personality and what you do, and that's been really hard to keep up with. Okay, you wanna do the videos and do the stories and post a picture, and should I post this picture or that other one? So I do have kind of, I guess, 3 pages: the business page, my personal one, where I only take people that I actually know, that's on Facebook, and then that has a different name. And then my, a little bit of me, a little bit of business, and that's another IG account. And so you can find me on all of those, but I believe that in whichever case, I guess this is something that I struggle with, because I am Colombian and I grew up in Colombia. I have a very different point of view, so when I want to vent about something that's going on, I do not discuss politics of the US. I discuss politics of Colombia. So that's the only thing that I do, but I try not to, I have friends of all sides and I like them all. And I think that's the beauty of this country, is that we're all different. Everybody has something that you can learn from. And so that's why I have just a personal one. But the other ones, you get to see a little bit more. I mean, I cook, my cats, my husband, my son, all of those things, my family. And so I believe that there needs to be some separation, but you still have to keep some things to yourself. Those are not things for everybody to see, because it's just not, I don't think it's productive.
So yes, as I mentioned, I do have my personal Facebook page, and when it comes to my Facebook page, Maya brought up a great point. Where do you follow in politics whenever you have your Facebook page? It's a huge thing. My Facebook page, I'm purple, okay? Nobody knows if I'm red or blue, okay? And nobody's gonna know except my family and super close friends, okay? Because quite honestly, like I said, I'm my own brand. My brand is my company. So, I don't wanna alienate somebody because of, something minuscule really in the world. So I'm not saying politics is not important. It is. Please do not come and bash me later, okay, guys? All I'm saying is that from a Facebook point of view, my personal page is purple, okay? Now, I have a business page, and I will tell any prospective client and existing client, your business page is a parking lot for content. Okay, that's where you want to stick everything, but then you have to share it off, and you see, okay, how many people looked at it? You may have 900 and only 200 looked at it. Well, how in the world do you get more eyeballs on that? Share it out into different places. Okay, put it in talk of whatever group. Put it in your knitting group. Put it in your motorcycle group. Put it in your women's group, your men's group, your Chamber of Commerce group. I am a very active member of Clear Lake Area Chamber of Commerce. We have a Chamber Champion page. I actually posted about this event in there so they could find out about it. I've seen a couple of my chamber members up in here. Hi, Lola. But you guys share that information out so you can actually get eyeballs on what it is that you do. And as we mentioned earlier, make sure it's original.
Okay, I think this is a case-by-case basis, all right? So what I mean when I say that is if you're a corporation and you have 100 employees, of course you have to have a corporate Facebook page or a corporate LinkedIn page or whichever. The problem becomes this, all right? On a smaller scale, if I scale down off of that, people do business with who they like, all right? And let's never lose sight of that. So my Facebook, I have a dog that looks like a Fraggle and with her little hair, and she's like a little superstar on Facebook. I get more compliments about my dog than I do me, but people like me because they see how my animals are treated. And if my animals are treated like that with beds and Tempur-Pedics and custom homemade, they do, then that must be how I treat humans, okay? So, but this is all, I don't, on politics, no, nobody knows. I try to keep that as agnostic as possible, because you know what? It has no bearing on, unless we're a political relationship, why would I get out there and talk about it, or fight about it, or whatever about it? I learned long ago that who I am, and maybe because I occupy the CEO role, being a CEO, I stopped being able to have a personal situation, because no matter where I go, I'm always Beth Guide SEO 411. In fact, I probably just should hyphenate it and be done with it, okay? And that means I have a successful business. If those two things, you see me and you know who my business is, or you see my logo and you know me, then I've done my job well. So you have to have both, but I don't think you can in this day and age, especially if you're in the ownership role, separate that, because people are looking at you before they decide to do business with you. 85% of business buying decisions are made prior to even picking up a phone and talking to you. So if you like my dog and you think she's cute, and anybody that's seen her will tell you she's the cutest thing in the world, and she helps me sell something, then by gosh, in fact, I almost bought her today. So, all right?
We did talk about that. Actually,
We
where's
did.
Tito? Can we get Tito up here? He's the cutest little dog here. Best conference ever. We have dogs.
Well, thank you guys. I'm gonna ask them one more question, and then we're gonna get to Q&A, because I know you guys have a lot of questions that are custom to your situation. So, but talking about all this activity, I mean, marketing doesn't mean much without the sales side of it, right? So how do you turn all this activity, it's called a conversion when you're talking about online, how do you convert all of this to actual sales for your business? How have you grown your own businesses and things?
Like I said before, for me, it's been more the personal touch, and I think when I'm out there, whether it's a festival or somewhere where I have an exhibitor's table, that has turned always numbers up in every way. Again, because people see you, they get to interact with you, you can advise someone, I think this piece will look better on you, I think this whatever, and if you want to offer a discount, all of that. So all those things are directly connected. When it comes to the presence online, of course, in my case, the best forum, the best platform is Instagram. And just because your friends don't mention it or don't like it or whatever, it doesn't mean that they don't like it. It's just maybe they haven't seen it. So it's constant. And that's one thing that you can never stop. And again, that's a constant struggle for me, because it's just, you gotta every single day be doing something for it, showing it out there, keep it in people's minds, out of sight, out of mind. So if you want to run a campaign, there are many ways to do it in a cheap way, like you mentioned, and that's all fabulous. But you need to know, again, you need to find out what time is the best. If you don't have anyone to give you advice like they would, then go read up on how can I find this out? How can I make the most out of the money that I have to spend on Instagram? Everything is on Google. That's the awesome thing, at least to get your feet a little bit wet into that area, and then later when you have a bigger budget, you can hire them to help you grow even more. But it really takes you being involved all the time. You cannot wait for somebody else to do it. You have to be on it, and unfortunately, that means you have to be on the phone all the time, but that's what it takes. And again, so the personal touch and a combination of the platforms that you're using and constantly doing it.
Absolutely agree. So for me in our business, the best thing that we ever did was join a chamber of commerce and get out there and network. I know there's actually 2 different chambers that have sponsored this event, and I absolutely love that. We joined, we are a family business, both of my parents are back at our exhibitors table. I had to go to my dad and say, hey, can I get $380 to join the chamber? And he was like, okay, why? And I really did think that that was an opportunity. Now everybody's going back there. The guy in the brown hat, there you go, yeah, everybody's pointing at him now. So, literally, sometimes you have to do that in a family business. You gotta go ask daddy for money. And, you feel like you're 10 again, and hey, can I go to the movies? But it's an investment in your business, and I would tell you, don't just join the chamber, go to 2 events, and then never go back. I heard somebody giggle over here. The women's chamber must be like in this area over here. Because, the thing you gotta do is you gotta go to more than one event. I literally went to the vice president of our chamber the first week we joined and said, I've never done this chamber thing. How do I do this? Okay, go talk to other people. I'm a diplomat. I'm on 10 different committees for our chamber because she said get involved, so I did, and I really did. We've been a member of our chamber a little over a year, and this year I'm a membership captain and being considered for leadership at the chamber in a little over a year. It is possible to make this part of your business, but the other thing is y'all, I made our chamber membership fee back within 60 days. If you get out there and you work it and you let people know what it is that you do and connect with people, you can get that investment back quickly. But how do you convert that into sales? How many people in here have gotten someone else's business card? Anybody who didn't raise their hand, go get a business card from somebody. But if it is a legitimate, in your gut feeling, you think, okay, this person may be able to benefit me or be a good connection or be a possible customer, call them up and set up a one-on-one with them. I live in Clear Lake, y'all are in Houston. I'm gonna have to drive to come meet you, but you know what? If I think that I can help you, I'm gonna make that drive. And I'm gonna make that conversation with you because that's how you actually convert it into sales. Like I said earlier, it doesn't matter how great your marketing is if you don't convert it, and your best chance for conversion is to sit face to face with somebody, especially if you are in a business to business situation.
Put your phone number on your website. Okay, y'all laughed at me, but you know what? That's one of the biggest mistakes I see on the digital side of it. Okay, I can't tell you how many. Oh, and put it at the top, by the way, in case I didn't mention that.
You don't hide it at the bottom?
Okay. So here's the thing. When I talk about how do I make a conversion on the internet and when I come to a website, I have to have a path, and I have to have a clear path, and I have to have an understanding of my customer. So when I sit down and I look, and again, when I look at it from a business standpoint, when I meet with a business directly, I try to figure out who their customers are and then what makes those customers respond. So for me, I'm going to talk about my business just for a second. I know that education is one of the best friends that I can do and provide for people. So when I sit down, I write a blog post that will educate my end user and give them food for thought on what they need to do. What ends up happening ultimately is I put that on LinkedIn, and within probably 30 to 40 minutes, I have at least 4 phone calls, okay? I don't have to spend a dime on that, and the only thing that came out of was my intellectual property out of my brain. If it's a jewelry store, that becomes a different story because you always have to understand who your people are and then what's gonna push their button and push them over. If you don't have a clear thought, you don't have people around you that understand how to push those buttons, that's the things that you need to do to look at. There are some really good books. Write this guy's name down. His name is Tim Ash, and he writes a book on it's a really big. It's about 500 pages, but it talks all about building funnels and how to. It's even if you don't know what you're doing and you read the book, you'll be okay because you'll get enough takeaways out of it that you can function. All right, but you have to have a path, and I think that's where this starts to get to be a problem. Is that somebody says, hey, let's make it look pretty, or somebody says, hey, go put somebody else's something on social media, or hey, I should be on Facebook, and you're actually a multi-million-dollar corporation that sells digital equipment. Does anybody know grandmother that buys digital equipment on Saturday? So why would you do that? You have to identify it, know who your customers are, and then understand how best to address them to put it out in terms that they want to say, not what you want to tell them. You have to listen to people to figure out what they want so you can best fit that need. And that's no different on social media.
Great, thank you guys so much. And the last thing I would say is, I always say this almost every time I give a talk, is win the follow-up game. There's, especially when you're talking about digital marketing, there's a statistic that says that, you know, people do so much research these days ahead of contacting you, that if you get a lead through any of these techniques that they've been talking about, you've got to be willing to follow up with that lead no later than 24 hours after getting it. But actually, when that lead comes in online, the statistic says that you can gain a huge advantage by responding within 2 hours. So, you know, consider what activities that what your prospects are participating in. If they contacted you, they probably contacted, you know, they did, found you through a Google search, through your social media, whatever, they probably contacted two of your competitors first. Be the first person to call them back. Be the first person to reach out after this forum and make a connection with the person that you met here, and don't let it go a week till they barely remember what you guys talked about. So yeah, win the follow-up game.